Coming up, one person was detained after an encounter with Grand Forks police. And the body of a missing Rolette County man has been found. Plus, U.S. officials are warning that Russia could strike at any time. Valley News Live at 10 starts now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Tonight, we start with breaking news. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nisha Taylor. One person has died in an apartment fire this evening. Fire crews were called just before 6:30 p.m. to an apartment building on 13th and a half Street South near 18th Avenue. Dispatch audio revealed that a 911 caller had seen flames coming from a window. Once on scene, firefighters found a fire in a lower level unit, and while fighting the fire, the deceased was found. Authorities say no one else was hurt. The identity of the victim is not being released as the investigation is still ongoing. Stay with Valley News Live as we follow this breaking story. Blustery winds and blizzard conditions rolled through the valley this morning, and that wind isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Summer's here now with a first look at our forecast. Summer.
Thank you so much, Nisha. At least the blizzard brought a little bit of beauty. Can we even say that? To areas in the Northern Valley this morning. This was near Crookston. Thank you to Jess Holzer for sending that one in. We do have more wind and more snow on the way. First alert weather days for Monday and Tuesday. In fact, tomorrow morning will be the worst of the conditions. We are looking at a snow heavy at times, especially in the southern half of our region. Gusty wind picking up as well, making for some difficult travel. Already on satellite and radar, we're seeing that light snow move in, and I've circled the bands of heavier snow that are currently occurring right along the North Dakota-South Dakota border from around Strasburg, just south of Ellendale, down into Aberdeen. We've got a very colorful map here, a winter storm warning starting at midnight tonight, continuing through noon Tuesday. We've got a winter weather advisory in the surrounding areas in purple. Meanwhile, across the Northern Valley, where the least amount of snow is expected, wind chill advisory and a wind chill warning in pink. Shay, we've got a lot to go over coming up in just a few minutes, so stick around.
That indeed, Summer, that indeed. Thank you so much. This afternoon, blizzard-like conditions caused a semi hauling a load of pigs to overturn on I-29 near Thompson, which is about 20 minutes south of Grand Forks. The North Dakota Highway Patrol says the driver of the semi was traveling from Manitoba heading to Wisconsin. Authorities say during the whiteout conditions, the semi entered the center median. The driver tried to get out of the median, but the load shifted, causing it to roll over. Fortunately, the driver was not hurt. One person has been detained after an encounter with Grand Forks police. Officers were called to the 700 block of 40th Avenue South for a report of a vehicle stuck in a snowbank. When they arrived, police found the stuck car with a person inside. Authorities say officers approached the car while asking the individual to get out, but the person did not comply and began rummaging through the car. GFPD says officers heard several loud noises coming from inside the vehicle and they took cover. An armed vehicle was later dispatched to the scene after the individual would not cooperate. Police were eventually able to get the person out of the vehicle, at which point he was detained. The incident remains under investigation. And a Sheldon man was arrested for driving under the influence after his involvement in a head-on collision near Sheldon. According to the North Dakota Highway Patrol, 68-year-old Jeffrey Grant was driving on the wrong side of 57th Street when he crashed head-on into another vehicle that was stopped nearby. Both vehicles were heavily damaged. Grant and the driver of the other vehicle were both taken to a local hospital to be treated for their injuries. The crash is still under investigation. Also new tonight, a spokesperson for the FBI has confirmed that the body of 46-year-old Aryan Peltier was found yesterday. Peltier went missing back on February 4th in Rolette County. The agency did not comment on further details, including Peltier's cause of death. Currently, the case is still being investigated. Firefighters were called to the American Crystal Sugar plant in Drayton yesterday morning after a small fire started inside. Fire officials say they were dispatched just after 5 a.m. A fire was found in an area called the truck stop, and crews were able to put it out within 15 minutes. Authorities say the fire was isolated to that one area, and the cost of damages is still unknown at this time. Drayton Fire also says the area was unoccupied at the time and no one was injured. You see them sold at gas stations and smoke shops around town. But what is Delta 8 and how are stores able to sell them? Valley News Team's Alex Larson explains more about the popular product.
If it's like a trouble to carry it, then it will be trouble for us, the stores, to sell it.
Delta 8 is a legal alternative to marijuana.
Regular THC is Delta 9, and that's illegal in North Dakota. You can't sell it because Delta 9 is psychoactive and is much stronger, and there is a higher side effects in it.
Delta 8 has very low psychoactives. The THC consistency is less than Delta 9. It's pulled from hemp, and the 2018 federal farm bill changed the policy on hemp, removing it from the Controlled Substances Act. So anything with less than 0.3% of Delta 9 THC is considered legal.
The psychoactive part is not strongest as regular THC psychoactive part. So they are still psychoactive, but let's say regular weed will be psychoactive, regular marijuana will be psychoactive, let's say 90%, 80%. This will be averaging around 40% or 30%.
It won't have the same effect as Delta 9, but like with anything, the more you do it, the more you'll feel.
A lot of people usually they don't want to smoke weed because it's too strong for them. And some people just use it usually for anxiety coping or for sleeping. And a lot of people prefer it because you don't get in trouble for it and it's not illegal in North Dakota.
People have lots of opinions on whether or not the product should be sold.
There's people that dislike it, there's people that think it's a chemicals, there's people that think that should be approved, there's people that think we should skip this and just approve basically normal THC and call it good.
In Fargo, Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
The Department of Homeland Security is testing new technology to patrol the U.S.-Mexico border. While the devices look like robot dogs, they are officially known as automatic ground surveillance vehicles. The robots are able to climb over rough terrain, but there's one drawback. They do run on batteries, which only gives them 4 hours of life in the field. While a robot can't make an arrest, it can capture evidence in remote desert areas and relay real-time data back to headquarters. There's no timetable on when they will be deployed. The U.S. Supreme Court plans to take a closer look at a Trump-era border policy known as Remain in Mexico. Lawyers for Texas and Missouri are asking the justices to stop the Biden administration's attempt to end the policy. The program allows officials to send non-Mexican migrants to Mexico to await their immigration court hearings. The Department of Homeland Security ended the policy last year, but a federal judge in Texas rejected the White House's attempts to halt the program and ordered the policy's revival. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on the case in April. After months of military buildup on Ukraine's border, U.S. officials are warning that Russia could strike at any time, and the Biden administration is preparing to prevent a likely invasion. Cole Higgins reports.
We are talking about the real possibility of war in Europe.
Vice President Kamala Harris reiterating President Biden's warning after meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Germany this weekend.
We believe that Putin has made his decision. Period.
The U.S. believes Russian forces will attack Ukraine sometime this week. U.S. officials have reported that Russian troops combined with separatist forces deployed in and around Ukraine could now be as high as 190,000.
All of this, along with the false flag operations we've seen unfold over the weekend, tells us that the playbook that we laid out is moving forward.
While the U.S. doesn't expect Russian President Vladimir Putin to choose diplomacy over war.
Until the tanks are actually rolling and the planes are flying, we will use every opportunity and every minute we have to see if diplomacy can still dissuade President Putin from carrying this forward.
Ukraine still urging the Biden administration not to wait to put sanctions in place against Russia. However, Sunday, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby doubling down on the administration's strategy.
It's supposed to be a deterrent. If you punish somebody for something they haven't done yet, then they might as well just go ahead and do it. So we're holding that in abeyance, and we're hoping that that could affect the calculus of Mr. Putin.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
Later on Valley News Live at 10, the price of a new home has climbed more than 15% from a year ago.
And by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning, the southern half of our region will be dealing with some snow, heavy at times. Gusty winds are possible, drifting snow is possible, and heavy accumulating snow. We have a lot to go over in weather coming up right after the break.